So here, there are several holy places very close to each other. To the right of this temple, you'll notice that there's a low-lying land. This used to be the Andakanandi River. It was one of the many rivers that was flowing through Navadip Dham during the time of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, which divided the Navadip Dham into 9 islands. So on the other side of this river is considered to be non-different from Benares or Kashi, where it's said that by passing away there, one is able, or one doesn't have to take birth again in the material world. But this is much more sacred than that, because there, if you pass away in Benares, then you're able to achieve the Jyoti, or the impersonal liberation. But here, by chanting Hare Krishna, you get the, actually here when you pass away, Lord Shiva, he chants in your ear the name of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, so you get pure love of Krishna, and you go back to Golok Vrindavan. Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol! Bhaktivinoda Thakura mentions, that after, when Lord Nityananda went on his Navadip parikrama with Jiva Goswami, accompanied by Srivas Thakura, they started at the birthplace, and then they headed out towards the north and went to our Jagannath temple, to Belpugor. Then they crossed over the river, and they came to Savarna Bihar, which we're going to next. And then from there they came over to here. This is in the island of Madhyadvip. Each island has got a certain significance. Starting from Srimantadip is hearing, then Gautam Deep is chanting, then Madhyadvip is remembering, like this, going through the 9 processes of devotional service. And the Antardvip, or the birthplace, is Atmanivedana, or complete self-surrender. So here is mentioned that there's a sacred place, Harihar Kshetra. And being at this place, which is not different from Lord Shiva's Benares Kashi, the Lord Shiva came here and was worshipping Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who was worshipping Lord Vishnu. But this place of worshipping Vishnu, Vishnu appeared and said that you are my expansion. Actually, we are not different. And he manifested this very unique form, which is half Shiv and half Vishnu. Therefore, the name comes Hari Har. Hara meaning Shiva, Hari meaning Vishnu. So, this is just one of the many holy temples here in Navadip Dham. There are unlimited places like this. This temple, as you can see, is in a little bit disrepair. The new domes were constructed were refurbished by Bhaktivinoda Swami Charity Trust, the trust Prabhupada founded to unite all the Gaudiya Vaishnavas and to preserve the holy places of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Navadip Dham and Gormandal Bhumi. We haven't finished, but we're starting from the up and working down, trying to preserve this very ancient temple of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's pastime. Confirmed. Praying to Lord Vishnu to show his form as Mohini Murti. And when he was attracted by Mohini Murti and defeated, then he was very bewildered by that. Very emotionally affected. He never, even Mother Parvati could never agitate him. And so then after that, when he was completely infatuated by Mohini Murti and he got overwhelmed like that, then he wanted to meditated, he was also completely, could understand that Vishnu was in the supreme position. His transcendental power of attraction was unlimited, and it was something that he didn't expect at all. So all these various things, of course, that we can't understand because Lord Shiva is more than a jiva. He was here and he was doing his meditation on Vishnu, trying to understand and trying to purify himself. So then, now we can understand why when Vishnu came, he said that don't feel otherwise about that pastime with Mohini Murti. We're not different and you're my expansion. But this way, he manifested that special pastime. The Lord Shiva came here to worship Lord Vishnu. And other information which Bhaktivinoda Thakura gives us is this Anakanodi. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it exactly correctly. Alakananda is considered to be not different from the Mandakini, the Ganges which flows in the heavenly planets. That Mandakini that flows in the heavenly planets is personally manifesting here. You can see the water there. Rempo crossed over the Jalangi River, which will go back to Mayapur on, although Padayatra will continue on. And then Lord Nityananda came here to Suvarna Vihar Kshetra. And when he got here, he started to chant the holy name of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Jai Gaur, 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 Gaur. And he was becoming very ecstatic. And the other devotees were all dancing and chanting and kirtan with him. Actually, this inspiration to chant the holy name of Krishna comes from the heart by the mercy of Lord Nityananda, by the mercy of Lord Chaitanya. This inspiration to chant the holy name comes from the heart spontaneously. Before we go on to speak more about this transcendental place in Navadip Dham, I'd like to request His Holiness Parayananda Swami to speak for a few minutes on this spontaneous desire to engage in service, which comes by the blessing of the Holy Dham and Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, or anything else you'd like to speak on.
Oma Gyanatvanandasya Gyanandana Salakaya Chaksun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhusle Swayam Rupa Gadamayam Vidati Swa Vedantikam. So actually, in reality, everyone is by nature Krishna conscious. But when that Krishna consciousness is covered by the misidentification with this body in the attempt at becoming or thinking oneself to be the supreme Lord, to be the supreme enjoyer of this material world, then that natural love for Krishna, that natural spontaneous attraction for Krishna is transferred to this body and to this mind. So that's called Maya. But by associating with Krishna, especially by hearing His holy name, by associating with those things in relationship with Krishna, then automatically the more serious one becomes in that association, to associate with complete purity and intensity, then the more one becomes spontaneously attracted to Krishna, because Krishna is the supreme nice. This is Prabhupada said that this is simply wonderful, it's wonderful, the devotees are wonderful, the deities are wonderful, your Krishna is wonderful. So if you simply go on eating these simply wonderfuls, then you'll all be simply wonderful. So by nature everything is wonderful because everything is an expansion from Krishna, but we have to surrender to Krishna. We have to surrender to Krishna in the loving spirit, and then we'll realize how wonderful everything is. So in this age especially, Krishna has manifested himself as the holy name. He's manifesting himself as the Sankirtan movement. He's manifesting himself as the devotees in the Sankirtan movement. He's manifesting himself as this holy Dham, especially Sri Dham, this Sri Dham Mayapur, this Navadvip Dham, the places where Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had his pastimes, because they're all connected with the holy name. Therefore, the more we become attached to those things in relationship with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the more we can become attracted to his spontaneous attitude of loving Krishna. That just by appreciating Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, just by appreciating those things in relationship with Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, we can experience the spontaneous attraction of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to Radha and Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. The devotees are very curious to know why Lord Nityananda was so ecstatic when he reached this place. What was the significance of this place? Anyone else here would like to know? You can raise your hand. All right. So, he explained that this place, which you can notice is a little raised area, this is the actual place where there used to be a king's palace in a previous age. And that king was known as Suvarna Sena. Sena means king, powerful, so on. So Suvarna Sena, he was a complete materialistic king in the Vedic sense. He was following all rules and regulations of Karma Kanda, but his desire was to have more power, more wealth, more family happiness, more everything that people aspire for in material life, more sense gratification in a nutshell. And he was totally absorbed in that materialistic vision. So one day, Narada Muni appeared in his kingdom and started to preach to him that, my dear Suvarna Sena, what happened was he appeared, and then Suvarna Sena, he received Narada Muni so nicely, giving him a seat, washing his feet, performing arti, to doing all the things that the Vedas say one should do to receive a Vaishnava or spiritual master. And this way, he completely satisfied Narada Muni, that to see his service attitude, Narada Muni decided to give his causeless mercy upon Suvarna Sena. So at this juncture, I'd like to request Subhag Maharaj to speak on the causeless mercy, because he's got so much causeless mercy from Srila Prabhupada.
Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastha Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivinoda Swami Namne Namaste Saraswati Deve Gaudavani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunnavadi Pasatrishtana. Actually, I got mercy from Srila Prabhupada, no doubt. I also got mercy, no less, from my God brothers when I came in contact with them in foreign countries. And also when he came back in my country, got enthusiasm and inspiration from my God brother like Srila Acharya and those who are coming in contact also like Vishnupad. So I feel indebted to them and to all the devotees here. Some 50 years ago, Prabhupada's Guru Maharaj, we know our Param Guru, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, said, very soon 50,000 devotees are coming. So we can see that when a pure Vaishnava who can see past, present and future, he can predict, and those things are manifesting now. Every year, under the guidance of Srila Acharya and also now with Sri Vishnupad, the devotees are led to different places of Lord Chaitanya's pastimes and in the Dham. And they are enjoying the pastimes of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, because once Krishna was telling Narad Muni, there is a verse in Sanskrit says, Naham vasami vaikunthe, na jogu hridaya cha, jatra madbhakta gayanti, tatra tishtanti narada. My dear Narad, I am not always in Vaikuntha, neither in the heart of the yogis, but where my devotees are chanting Harinam Mahamantra or glorifying, definitely I am there. So, we can see every year the devotees are gathering in Mayapur, and then they are enjoying spiritual bliss. At the same time, especially this parikrama is also very nice. What Nityananda Prabhu himself showed Jiva Goswami, where millions of years ago in Satya Yuga, Treta Yuga and other Yugas, Lord himself appeared in all these places and did wonderful pastimes, so that later on devotees can come and in pure heart they can also enjoy the association of the Lord. So this thing, every year, we are going with the devotees, and we remember Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, in Veda also mentioned that Anandamaya Abhasat, our life is, real life is full of bliss. That is all also we read in Brahma Samhita, Ishvara Parama Krishna Satchit Ananda Vigraha. That means we are by nature blissful. So, if we, with the association of the devotees, carry on like that, this way we can bring more devotees here and become Krishna conscious. Thank you very much.
Hare Krishna. So, Narada Muni, being pleased with the Suvarnasena, he started to preach to him, saying that you're working so hard to have material happiness, to have your fame, to have your family members happy, but actually, after 100 years, you won't exist, and after some time, neither will your family exist. So if you want to become happy by doing all these things, then what is the ultimate result when everything is going to be finished? So in this way, actually, you're simply wasting your valuable human life by engaging in all these material activities. We'd like to hear the transcendental message from His Sri Lokanath Swami.
ओम अज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्तस्वामिने नामिने। नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद जय द्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासुदेव गौर भक्त वृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। Other day you all came to Navadvip 2 nights ago, and then of course very few devotees stayed behind. and we had a host who was given a few minutes to talk. So he immediately started pointing out how Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's prediction has come true by pointing out to the devotees. Look, he was saying, here is a devotee from Germany, here is a devotee from South America, here is a devotee from Japan, here is a devotee from Canada, like that. With great pride he was mentioning that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu predicted 500 years ago, Prithvite ase jato nagaradi gram sarvatra prachar hoi bei murnam. Like this he was quoting, and let the audience know that prediction of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had come true. So at that time I was thinking that what if Srila Prabhupada had not gone to the West in 65? Not only at Navadvip, but since we have entered Bengal, because people know this prediction about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, each time they say, whenever there's a host, he's talking from the stage, he points out, just see, the prediction has come true. So each time I think, what if Srila Prabhupada had not gone to the West and taken the holy name to New York and all over? This is 1986 is 500th anniversary year of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And celebrations not only would be held at Mayapur where Lord Chaitanya appeared, but the celebrations would be held everywhere, in Washington, in Moscow, in Melbourne, Australia, in Nairobi, Africa, in Hong Kong, in Tokyo. Everywhere there will be celebration of 500th anniversary of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Of course, in India it's not going to be just at Mayapur or Navadvip. There are some Hindu groups that will be celebrating 500th anniversary year at different places within this country, all over India. But it is going to be celebrated all over the world, and this is because Srila Prabhupada went to the West. And Srila Prabhupada did not go. He wasn't independent in his desire or plan to go to the West. It was plan of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wanted that by the time the 500th anniversary year comes, he wanted his name to reach this Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wanted that this name be spread everywhere by this year 1986, so that people will not be wondering, oh, what happened? Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had said that his name would spread everywhere, all over the world, but it hasn't spread. So people would have lost their faith or something, or they would have taken, this Prithvi means maybe just Bengal, or Prithvi refers to just India. But now, as Prabhupada took this holy name all over the world, our understanding has become very, very easy. And not only we have developed the faith, but even people of Navadvip and all over Bengal, Orissa, and all over India, now they will realize and they will increase their faith in prediction of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. As they see devotees coming from all over the world, like we have assembled here, devotees have come from practically every country in the world, and more devotees are on the way to celebrate 500th anniversary of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And this has become possible by single-handed effort of our spiritual master, A.C. Bhaktivinoda Swami Srila Prabhupada. So it's time not only to remember Chaitanya Mahaprabhu because it is 500th anniversary year, But we cannot forget the person who took the holy name to the West, person who was made the tool, nimitta matram bhavasavya sachin. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu made Srila Prabhupada the tool. He used him. Srila Prabhupada was used by Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. The holy name was brought from Golok Vrindavan to Mayapur and this area. And Mahaprabhu did take this holy name in different parts of the country by traveling, going on foot, doing Padayatra 500 years ago. He went by making Jagannath Puri the headquarters. He went throughout South India all the way up to Dwarka, and then he had come back to Jagannath Puri, and then second time he passed through Jarikhanda forest, Banaras, Allahabad, and then he ended his journey at Jagannath Puri, at Vrindavan. Then again he had returned. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu did spread the holy name all over India, but Srila Prabhupada was the one who took the holy name outside India. We sometimes tell Indians that Srila Prabhupada exported the holy name. As other Indians are trying to export different things, Srila Prabhupada exported the best product of this country, the real wealth of this country, which no one else in the world possessed it. And with great pride, Srila Prabhupada used to say that these poor Americans who were hippies, even they became happies when they got this Hare Krishna Mahamantra. So, the wealth that was brought down from Golok Vrindavan to this land of Navadvip Mayapur was later on in 1965 was taken to the west by Srila Prabhupada, and then that holy name has made all of us rich, and wherever this name would be chanted is being chanted. All these countries are being greatly benefited. The big celebration on 26th March all over the world, and the name would be broadcasted. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would be glorified, but it is also time to glorify Srila Prabhupada on such an occasion, because he became the Karan, he also became the cause. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is called cause of all causes, but Chaitanya Mahaprabhu did make Srila Prabhupada also the cause in spreading this holy name all over the world. As a result, we are here. As a result, Srila Vishnupad is here. As a result, Srila Charyapad is here. As a result, Prahladananda Maharaj is here. And as a result, you all are here. So we have to remember Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Then our more direct connection is with Srila Prabhupada. That must not be forgotten. So it's time to remember Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and also Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu ki jai. Harinam Sankirtan ki jai. Mayapur Navadvip Dham ki jai. Nitai Gaur Premanande.
Hare Krishna. But just as Srila Prabhupada had brought us the message in the West, Narada Muni was preaching to the Suvarnasena king. So after the king realized that what he was doing was hopeless, he asked him, how can I become happy in life? Then what is the real solution? So then Narada Muni told that king that the way you can become happy is to understand that you're the eternal part and parcel of Krishna, that you are Krishna Nitya Das, and that actually by engaging in Krishna's service, practicing the ninefold practice of devotional service, hearing, chanting, remembering, and so on, you can achieve your real happiness. And this way, you can understand your sambandha avideya prayojan, your relationship, your service, and ultimately your pure love for Lord Krishna. In this way, Narada Muni gave the highest instruction to that king simply for his humble service. Then he told the king that actually you're very fortunate because you're the king in Navadip Dham. This Navadip Dham is a place where Lord Chaitanya, Gauranga, Mahaprabhu appears in the Kali Yuga and gives out pure love for Krishna very freely to all of the fallen souls. So you're very fortunate to be the king in that holy Dham. And then Narada Muni, he became ecstatic thinking about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and he started to chant, Go Hari, Go Hari, Go Hari, Go Hari, in ecstasy. And then he went off in ecstasy. Bhakti Bhushan Maharaj will be ecstatic to hear your message.
Well, after all these great souls, it is of course difficult to say anything substantial. But as we have heard, these pilgrimages to the holy places do fortunate people. And somehow we have also been fortunate to, like Lokanath Swami Maharaj mentioned, we have been fortunate to come in touch with Srila Prabhupada, and in this way we have become fortunate to somehow or other get in touch with this mission of Sri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And these places, these holy places, or these places of pilgrimage, they are all somehow connected with Lord Chaitanya, and they help us to remember His mercy, His pastimes, and ultimately they help us to realize our constitutional positions as eternal servants of Krishna. So, just like we heard before, in this place, especially in Mayapur, on these places connected with Lord Chaitanya here in Bengal, all our efforts in devotional service are very much amplified. So, and also we heard that the basis in Krishna consciousness is faith. So coming to these places and associating ourselves with the devotees, hearing about the transcendental pastimes of Lord Chaitanya and his devotees, increases our faith and our enthusiasm, our determination. And that's all we need for continuing our preaching work in the Western world, in the demonic places in the Western world. So we should take advantage of all these auspicious paraphernalia, let's say, the association of the devotees and the auspiciousness or the potency of the holy places, and in this way return after this festival to the West and preach the glories of Krishna and the glories of Sri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to the innocent people or to the ignorant people. So every time we come to Mayapur, the number of people, the number of devotees increases more and more and more. And ultimately the predictions of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur to have a big or have a city in Mayapur will manifest. So we have much work to do, and like I said, we need great strength, we need faith, we need determination to do this work, and so we should take advantage of all the facilities that we find here in India, especially here in Mayapur. Especially here, we should pray to Krishna and pray to Lord Chaitanya to give us the strength to continue with our preaching. Hare Krishna.
So after Narada Muni left, King Suvarnasena, he started to feel great separation of Lord Gauranga. Although he had never heard of him before, But by hearing the holy name from Narada Muni, his heart was purified, and he started to chant the holy names of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu again and again to worship Lord Chaitanya. In this way, he felt very ecstatic, and he started to jump up and down and cry, feeling transcendental bliss from chanting the holy names of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. One night, while he was sleeping, he was able, in his dream, he had a dream. He had a dream that in his courtyard, there he saw Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He saw Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and the Panchatattva, Sri Nityananda, Advaita, Gadadhar, Srivas, all in the courtyard of his palace. And he paid obeisances to them, and Lord Chaitanya embraced him. And then he felt complete ecstasy, being embraced by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He never experienced anything like that before. Suddenly he just woke up from his dream, and he was just still in complete ecstasy, but then Lord Chaitanya was gone. Nityananda was gone, Advaita, Gadadhar, Srivas, they're all gone, the dream was gone. And then he started to feel very bad. He started to feel intense separation, and tears are pouring from his eyes. And this time, it was just as if his heart was cracking, not having the association of the Lord. Then suddenly, a Doivavani, or a voice from the heavens spoke and said that Suvarna Raja, do not worry, because you will become my associate in my pastimes in Navadip Dham when I appear. And you will appear as Buddhimanta Khan to participate in my pastimes. And then the voice stopped. So that gave the Suvarna Sena Raj King again some degree of mental peace to know that he would have the association of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu again. We are all feeling some separation from Srila Prabhupada since his not being present, but having the association of his children and grandchildren here at the Mayapur festival gives us some spiritual comfort. We're feeling blessed by all your association, especially the association of Harikesa Swami Vishnupad. I'd like to request him to speak some nectarian Krishna consciousness for our upliftment. Hare Krishna. So, the Suvarna king, of course, he established after, when he appeared as Buddhimanta Khan, he was one of the very active preachers of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And there are many little pastimes. He wasn't one of the most prominent in terms of our theology, but he was a very active preacher. And his special ecstasy was that he wanted to get everyone to chant Hare Krishna. Actually, he even was so bold that he went to the Chand Kazi, or maybe another Kazi. I remember he was just to a Kazi, and he requested the Kazi to chant Hare Krishna, even though he was a Mohammedan and a ruler, like a lord or a mayor. And he told him, you please chant Hare Krishna every time he would see him. The one time he asked you please chant, he said, well, I don't have time to chant Hare Krishna today. I'll chant Hare Krishna tomorrow. Then Buddhimanta Khan, he raised his hands and he started to jump up and down. Haribo, 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 Haribo. You've already begun to chant today. You've already said Hare Krishna, Haribo. Now you've begun your spiritual life. Your spiritual life has begun. All glory now, why stop? Just keep on chanting, you've already begun. Haribo, Haribo.
As we all know, after Krishna was born, he was taken by Vyasadeva to the house of Nanda Maharaj and Mother Yasoda. That place is in the Mayapur, that's the next place we're going to. And for the first 5 years of his life, Krishna grew up there enjoying his early childhood pastimes. Thereafter, he moved to just close to our Krishna Balaram temple and spent about 8 or 9 months in that place. Later, he moved to a permanent residence in Nandagram. So here at this place, the deity of Keshava was established by the great-grandson of Lord Krishna, Vajanath. That Keshava deity was here up until the time of Aurangzeb. When Aurangzeb started attacking the area between Agra and Delhi, that deity was moved along with Haridev of Govardhan to just outside of Kanpur, a place called Rajdhani, about 120 kilometers from Kanpur. Up until about 1012, Mathura city was still very opulent, with 8 temples on each of the 8 directions of the city, and each of those temples was bedecked with gold and jewels, and each one had deities made of jewels. But during that period, 1012, the Mughals attacked this place and ransacked everything. So underneath the city of Mathura, there are large caves and tunnels, still there today, but they've been sealed off by the local authorities. Within those caves and tunnels, the deities were all hidden, including Keshava, on that first attack. So there are about 84 different main deities here in Mathura. It takes several days just to visit those places. And most of those, even during the time of Aurangzeb, when Keshava was moved, most of the other deities were placed in the tunnels and caves underneath the city. And so, unlike the rest of the Brajadam, Vrindavan, Nandagram, etc., where the deities have all been moved, still most of the original deities are still here in Mathura. I think we're going to carry on from here to Mahavan, where we'll see Nanda Maharaj's house. We'll see the place where Putana was killed. We'll also see the spot where the Yamala Arjun trees were pulled down. Then afterwards we'll be going to Vamangat, where Lord Krishna showed Mother Yasoda the entire universe within his mouth after he had eaten dirt. There we'll take bath, then afterwards we'll return to the temple.
Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna says, Janma karma tame divyam evam yo veti tattvataha yatvadeham punarjanma naiti mam eti sarjuna. That one who knows the transcendental nature of my appearance and activities does not take birth again in this material world, but attains my transcendental abode. So the word tattvataha means in truth. That one who simply can accept that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and therefore says unto him that you are the Supreme Lord, that at once that person becomes liberated. So this material world means that everyone here is more or less thinking that I am God. Actually, everyone is thinking that my body, that my mind is God, and therefore Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, every living entity is struggling very hard with the 6 senses, which include the mind. So although we think that this body and this mind that we have is God, actually what that means is that it means a struggle, a fight against the material energy. But when one comes to realize that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and that by developing my affection or my love for Him, that I could actually become happy. That person who can appreciate that and tries to give his loving service, his loving attention to Krishna, that is called karma. Karma means activities. Or as Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, Chaitasa sarva karmani mayi sanyasya matvaraha buddhiyogam pachvitya matsitaksatatam bhava. That in all activities and for the results just depend upon me.
and work always under my protection. In such devotional service, be fully conscious of me. So if we're conscious that Krishna is God, that He's the source of all intelligence, He knows everything in the past, present, and future, by taking shelter of Him, either by His book, Bhagavad Gita, or from His pure devotees, and by following Krishna's instructions, then we can actually understand the transcendental nature of Krishna's activities. And by doing that, we can actually understand also that Krishna is taking this birth in this material world is not like that of an ordinary living entity. When an ordinary living entity takes birth in this material world, it is not a very pleasant experience. And is not very glorious to meditate upon. But when Krishna takes birth in this material world, appearing from the consciousness of Devaki and Vasudeva, it is full of transcendental pleasure. When Krishna was born, immediately the whole area became illuminated by His presence. And Devaki and Vasudeva, even though they were in the prison of Kamsa, they at once became transcendentally situated, illuminated with spiritual consciousness. So similarly, although we're in the darkest age of Kali Yuga, because Srila Prabhupada has appeared with this ISKCON movement, which Srila Prabhupada has said is the manifestation of Krishna, therefore the whole Kali Yuga can be illuminated. So our method of understanding Krishna's transcendental appearance is also by understanding how He's appearing now as this ISKCON movement, to spread Krishna's glories all over the world. Prabhupada said in Mayapur that the place of Krishna's appearance, Janma, that is not as important as his karma or his activities. The place of Lord Chaitanya's appearance is not as important as his activities, because by his understanding his activities, one can become liberated from this material world. And automatically one can understand about the transcendental nature of Krishna's birth. So here we're coming to take shelter at Krishna's lotus feet, at the lotus feet of His devotees, and by taking shelter become inspired to carry on Krishna's mission, the reason why He's appearing in this material world. Krishna has said that very clearly. He comes to the material world in order prityanaya sadhanam dinashaya tradiskritam dharma samstarvanataya sambhavam yuge yuge, in order to protect the devotees and to annihilate the miscreants, as well as to reestablish religious principles. Krishna is adventing Himself millennium after millennium. All glory is to Srila Prabhupada. All glory is to Sri Sri Radha Krishna.
Understood by the commentary of Vishwanath Chakravarti and also mentioned in the purports of Srila Prabhupada that actually simultaneously to the birth of Vasudeva, that's Lord Krishna in Mathura, the son of Mother Yasoda, the original Samshunda, took birth here. So when Father Vasudeva came here and placed a child, the two children, as the Vasudeva was the expansion of Krishna, when he placed the child down, and again the expansion was taken into the original child. And Nanda Maharaj took away the second child of Mother Yasoda, which was Yogamaya, and took her back to the prison house of Kamsa. So, actually the original Samshunda form of Krishna never leaves the area of Vrindavan at any time, even to go to Mathura. So when Thakura came later to take Krishna away, again the change was made. When Thakura stopped at Thakura Ghat to offer it to take bath, he saw in the lake that Vishnu was lying on the bed of Seshanag. At that time the transaction took place, and the original Shyamasundar stayed back in Vrindavan. So actually, it's understood that Mother Yasoda is the actual mother of Krishna, and eternally they live here in this place of Nanda Maharaj's house. This house is made up of Charasikum of 84 pillars. These pillars are still the original pillars. And in the center, we will be seeing in a little while, there are 3 pillars which represent the 4 yugas. So on each of these first 3 pillars, the Satya, Treta and Dwapara yugas, you can see in the pillar the representation of a particular incarnation which has taken place. And the incarnation which will come for Kali Yuga, the Kalki avatar, for that particular pillar, it is still completely blank. It's said when Kalki actually appears, and that pillar will also manifest the pastimes of Kalki. Now we're going to, with Ramananda Prabhu, read some of the pastimes of Krishna here in Mahavan. Now that we'll have darshan of Yasomata, Nanda Maharaj, and baby Krishna.
One takes such great endeavor, traveling many miles at great expense, but stays in material consciousness, then all he will see is what his material senses reveal to him. So here the material senses, they simply reveal to us
silent.
What can we see with these eyes? So therefore, we have to understand first of all that the holy land of Vrindavan is very, very deep. It is much deeper than the senses, our present senses allow us to see. Actually, this whole area is protected by Yoga Maya. And you know, Krishna in Bhagavad Gita, he says, Naham Prakasha Sarvasha Yoga Maya Samarvata Mudayam Namijamati Lokum Mam Osumoriyam. That's for those who are foolish and unintelligent. That Yoga Maya, it covers them, it prevents them from seeing myself, my eternal pastimes. So that same Yoga Maya potency, which brings the sincere devotees closer and closer into an actual deep, intimate, familial relationship or conjugal relationship or friendly relationship with Krishna here in Vrindavan. That same Yoga Maya, for those who are materialistic, who are lusty, who are foolish, unintelligent, that Yoga Maya blocks this understanding. So, therefore, to pierce beyond that covering of the illusory potency that is protecting the stone, we require simply Krishna's mercy. Now that mercy we are receiving in the form of instructions of the spiritual master. So the spiritual master lays down the path by which one can become purified. He is giving the instructions which open our eyes, which are covered by the darkness of ignorance, so that we can see with the torchlight of knowledge the inner realm of Krishna consciousness. So therefore, this Braj of pilgrimage, it can only be successful, it can only be actually complete if those pilgrims are engaging very, very seriously in the ninefold process of devotional service. This is not simply a tourist jaunt into some Indian hinterland to see some unusual places and we take some photos and go back and show postcards to a friend. It is much, much deeper. And so we should all take the humble position. What can we see with these eyes? Not so much. We're so covered. But if we're following the footsteps of the Acharyas of Guru Parampara, and very humbly coming forward, taking darshan with me, praying for their mercy, and sticking to the Vaishnava Sangha, making kirtan, all these things, doing it very sincerely. Truly. Then by the mercy of the Lord, perhaps some of the darkness of our eyes swept away, and we can see. It is said in Brahma Samhita, when the eyes are smeared with the salve of love, then one can actually see. Primanjana Charita Bhaktivinoda. Then one can actually see Sham Shama Sundara Achincha Guna Surupi. Actually, Sham Sundar Krishna, his form is Achincha, it's inconceivable. But if there's love of Krishna developing by following this process, then that will.
It's famous for, it's got the name Koladi because that is one of the names of Lord Baraha. And when Baraha was fighting against Hiranyaksha, he put his foot on the earth here while he was kicking or something like, there was a pastime like that. So the point where he touched the earth was here in Kola Dweep of Navadip Dham. And this was revealed to one of the devotees, one of the great sages, and recorded in the Vedas. But in Chaitanya's Leela, this is known as Aparad Banjan Kuliya Pat. There was a Navadip town was there, and this is the other side of the river at that time was known as Kuliya. And here was where Devananda Pandit offended Srivas. Srivas was sitting listening to his Bhagavatam class, and he got some ecstatic feelings, thinking about Krishna's pastimes, and he started crying. Devananda Pandit was a Mayavadi, but he used to lecture in the Bhagavatam. He felt disturbed, and he had Srivas thrown out into the street. For this offense, Lord Chaitanya chastised him and banned everyone from going anywhere near him. Finally, by the preaching of one of his relatives who was a pure devotee, Devananda Pandit surrendered to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu here, and therefore he got forgiven for his offense by also surrendering to Srivas and begging for forgiveness. So it said that here, by chanting Hare Krishna and Sankirtan, you can get forgiven for offenses to the Vaishnavas.
Jai Hare Jai Hare Krishna.
Temple of Jagannath Das Babaji is his Samadhi temple. But I don't know if in our route will we have a time. It's a very small temple, but it's also here. Other than that, there's not very much specific tirtha places here. There's one of the 9 islands, but of course there's about 150,000 people live in Navadip, and they've actually invited us to come and to chant Harinam with them. And so right now, Nitai Gaur are waiting with Srila Prabhupada at the center of just a little distance from here. So we're going to go on a Sobha Yatra with the Padayatra, so I think we shouldn't have Nitai Gaur wait any longer. Nitai Gaur Premanandi!
I think most of the faces I see are new here. How many of you are coming for first time to this place? That is 90% of the crowd here. How many of you had been here for at least half a dozen times? About 1/4 dozen people were here for half a dozen times. So, this is Bhaktivinoda Thakur Maharaja's Samadhi place. This one here. You can't hear me? I said this is Bhaktivinoda Thakur Samadhi place. Can you hear me now? Okay. And that house there is his residence. He stayed there in this house. I don't know whether they would allow us to go, or maybe we don't have time. In the past we had gone around in the house and seen the furniture that Bhaktivinoda Thakur used, and we also had seen the window that Bhaktivinoda Thakur saw the effulgence through. That pastime took place here. So, this is Jalangi River, and this is one of the 9 islands called Godrum Dweep. Bhaktivinoda Thakur Maharaj spent his last days in this house, and on one of those, one time as he was seeing through the window of his house from the first floor, he saw a effulgence between Yoga Peeth, that is birthplace of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and this Jalangi river. And he envisioned a big city of Golden Avatar, which now is coming up. What he saw 100 years ago, now we are seeing. We are 100 years behind Bhaktivinoda Thakur Maharaj. Bhaktivinoda Thakur, you all know, at least as we went on Padayatra, I just want to mention few places which we visited, which are connected with Bhaktivinoda Thakur. We were at Puri, you know, Bhaktivinoda Thakur Maharaj was a district magistrate there. At Puri also, Bhaktivinoda Thakur Maharaj had a house where Bhakti Siddhant took birth. Then at 2 more places, one is Katak and another one is at Bhadrak. Both are these places in Orissa. We stayed in a high school where Bhaktivinoda Thakur Maharaj, at one school he was a teacher and at other school he was a headmaster. We stayed in the same school. Then we went to Bhaktivinoda Thakur Maharaj's birthplace, which is Veer Nagar, which is about 50 kilometers from here. He was born at the maternal uncle's place. There's a little monument where he took birth, which is on the bank of Radha Kund. There's a small lake which is called Radha Kund. And there we also saw a mango tree. Bhaktivinoda Thakur once, he ate mango and he threw seed, and that has grown into a big tree, which people worship and circumambulate. And now Padayatra and you all have come here to Bhaktivinoda Thakur Samadhi place. This Yoga Peeth, birthplace of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, this was located by Bhaktivinoda Thakur also. Probably you all know the pastime. One time Bhaktivinoda Thakur Maharaj took his Guru Maharaj, Jagannath Das Babaji, on his head in the basket. And he was going around with his spiritual master on his head in the basket because he was very, very old, invalid. He was not able to walk around. So as Bhaktivinoda Thakur he approached this present birthplace, which we know, birthplace Yoga Peeth. At that spot, Jagannath Das Babaji, he threw himself in the air, saying, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. And that means Lord Chaitanya inspired him from within. And that is how Bhaktivinoda Thakur confirmed that that was the place where Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared. Like sometimes people go with some kind of detector. Like when they want to find oil in the earth or want to find some big reservoir of water. Similarly, Bhaktivinoda Thakur Maharaj, he used his spiritual master to detect the birthplace of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Later on, Bhaktivinoda Thakur Maharaj, he went in Calcutta door to door begging
and raising funds to build that temple. Temple that we see at birthplace of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was built by Bhaktivinoda Thakur Maharaj. He was asking contributions, one rupee each. He did not go for big contributions. Of course, if someone came forward and offered big contributions, he accepted, but he preferred that that everyone gives 50 paisa or 1 rupee or a few rupees, so that everyone would think that this temple is my temple. I also have contributed towards the construction of this temple. So there you have probably gone, or will be going. Padayatra will be going there on 20th. So just 1 minute. Let me check with Maharaj here whether we could go in the house. Go upstairs there and around. But we have very little time. I'm afraid that we may spend half an hour just seeing the house. And Harikesa Maharaj is going to get on my case. But they're coming here. So what we will do is do kirtan, circumambulate this place 3 times, and by that time I would know whether we are in position to go in the house. So you could do kirtan and circumambulate this.
Actually in India, but anywhere, we begin with Hare Krishna, we end in the middle. Krishna says he's the beginning, the middle, and the end. So that means the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra is the beginning and the middle and the end of everything. So here in Navadvip Dham, we can get the attraction to the holy name, attachment, so that we can go on chanting in all circumstances. In other countries, everybody knows, there's not so much encouragement for chanting the holy name of Krishna. Here you'll find everybody saying, but in the West, we don't find so much encouragement. If we chant, they often tell us don't chant. So here, Prabhupada wanted us all to come every year to get surcharge, to get this mercy of the holy Dham, the mercy of Chaitanya, Nityananda, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, Srila Prabhupada, the disciplic succession, to be able to make this the holy name, Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, our life and soul. This is what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu taught. Wherever crowds of people would come, if anybody joins us on the Padayatra, they can begin to understand how when we read Chaitanya Charitamrita, describes when the word would get out that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was somewhere, millions of people would come. Lakhs and lakhs of people would be there for Harinam. So that sounds very hard to believe, but if you see sometimes in these villages how many people can come very quickly, just for ordinary devotees coming. Of course, the Padayatri devotees are not exactly ordinary. They walked all over India for 18 months, 7,000 kilometers, chanting all the time. So this is the place where the potency is there. We're getting this attachment to chanting the holy name of Krishna. That means attachment to Krishna. So again, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Krishna Krishna. Krishna Krishna. Hare Hare. Hare Hare. Hare Rama. Hare Rama. Hare Rama. Hare Rama. Rama Rama. Rama Rama. Hare Hare. Hare Hare.
To this sacred spot for many years now, and we have often heard about the activities of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, and trying to think of something to say in glorification of Srila Bhaktivinoda leads one to a meditation on his mission. For us to become Krishna conscious is of course something special. However,
Factually, we are in the group of many devotees who all are understanding the philosophy of Krishna consciousness more or less. At the time of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakura, Vaishnavism was somehow or another diminished. The Vaishnavas were not prominent in the sense that they were actually chanting Hare Krishna under some tree here in this holy dham. They were the most erudite scholars, most perfect devotees, but the preaching mission was not very much pushed. As you know, in our line, there are two types of devotees. One is called Gostinandi, the other is called Bhajananandi. The Bhajananandi is interested in his own advancement in Krishna consciousness. He is very much interested in becoming fully attached to Krishna, and he wishes to fully develop his rasa, relationship with Krishna, in one of the four higher transcendental rasas. So he is very much concerned for his spiritual life, and therefore not very much concerned to go into the masses of people to preach. Just like our Padayatra devotees, they are Bhajananandis. Gostinandis. Sorry. Excuse me, please. They are just the opposite. They are going throughout India to populated places, sometimes not populated places, but you have to go through the unpopulated places to get to the populated places. And they are bringing the holy name of the Lord, chanting, speaking Krishna conscious philosophy. So this is the example of just the opposite. One who is also concerned for his spiritual advancement, but one who understands that his spiritual advancement is secured when the advancement of others is taken into consideration. Similarly, Srila Prabhupada established this movement on the basis of the Gostinandi, the preaching concept. Now this concept was very much emphasized by Srila Bhaktivinoda. He took the preaching mission of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and brought it out again into prominence in this world. At the time of Bhaktivinoda, it was practically not known. Vaishnavism, although the topmost science, the topmost philosophy, the topmost lifestyle, was not known. And Srila Bhaktivinoda received this instruction to revive the preaching mission from Srila Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj. He was the elder chief of all the Vaishnavas in Mayapur area, Navadip Dham, very, very old, over 125 years of age, still complete with all facilities, except that he was so old he could not stand up. His eyelids were drooped down over his eyes so he could not see, but he was not blind. If he lifted his eyelids up, he could see fine. And he would speak on Krishna conscious philosophy, and everybody would come to hear because he was the grand authority. So, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur received the mission, the baton, so to speak, passing the mission from Srila Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj to Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, and he took it very seriously. As we see from the life of Srila Bhaktivinoda, it was he who established preaching of Krishna consciousness in the English language first, when he in 1896, the year of Srila Prabhupada's appearance in this world, distributed one of his books to McGill University in Canada and another one in Australia to some university, I don't know the name. And at that time, he was also very famous amongst the British, which was very highly unusual, since the British were the lords of India. The country was dominated, and the scholars of India amongst the British community were not taken very seriously. In fact, the British were sending scholars to come and show how Hinduism was simply some mishmash of ideas, all contradictory, totally illogical, and based on pure faith. And thus the Christians, with their mission from London, from Canterbury, were instructed to degrade, or rather denigrate, to minimize the Hindu philosophy, so that people in India would no longer be Hindus, they would become Christians. Actually, one of the chief ministers here of the British Empire told the king, if you want to conquer India, you cannot do it while the people are Hindu, maintaining their Hindu faith. You must first destroy that faith. Then you can actually conquer India. So they made a very dedicated plan, systematic preaching, to destroy the faith of people in the Veda, in the holy name of the Lord. Not all of them. Some actually respected the culture, Vedic culture. But the official policy was such, for destruction. So, during this time, sometimes, there was an opportunity for learned personalities to come forward and speak before a British audience. It was very rare. And the one to break the ice, so to speak, the first one to come and actually accomplish this, and the one who actually maintained that contact, was Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakura, who was a very erudite scholar in English, having been trained in all of the philosophies of the British. He knew Emerson, he knew Kent, he knew Thoreau. He knew their philosophy as well as they. He knew Keats. He was well aware of their culture. Therefore, they did not consider him to be some barbarian as they considered others. So Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, in a very expert speech, which was published later as a book called the Bhagavad, was speaking in such a way as to gradually bring the British away from their very partial opinion to an understanding that the Srimad Bhagavatam was far superior in philosophy than anything they had ever experienced before. And at that time, they realized that they were not dealing with some ordinary personality, and they very much respected Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. He alone transformed the minds of many highly placed Britishers to having a great respect for the Vaishnava culture. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur proceeded to write many, many literatures in the English language which previously were unknown. He presented many books, and he especially inspired his most empowered son after he prayed for a ray of Vishnu to appear, to take up the preaching mission, because as we mentioned, the Vaishnava culture was depressed. After the time of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, as we find in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, all the living entities were liberated in the whole universe. All of the devotees, all of the people, the whole of India was mad. The whole universe was overflooded with love of Godhead. Advaitacharya, told Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, there is no need to even maintain the marketplace. Everybody is full. Nobody is buying any more rice. Hidden message to say that everybody's intoxicated fully with love of Godhead. There was no need to have the Nam Hata. Therefore, marketplace of the holy name. Therefore, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu ended his pastimes. And as we hear from Chaitanya Charitamrita, all the living entities were liberated at the time of his chanting in the Jarikhanda forest. The reverberation and echo of the kirtan of the moving and non-moving living entities in response to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was such that all were liberated. Now, after that time, Lord Chaitanya kindly left us some of his representatives. But after the time, Baladev Vijayabhushana, up to the time of Jagannath Das Babaji, Vaishnavism was known here, but it was not prominent in other places, because all of the Vaishnavas went back home, back to Godhead. Srila Baladev Vijayabhushana speaks about this in his Vedanta Sutra as to why the devotee, if after performing purificatory sacrificial performances, chanting of Hare Krishna mantra, devotional service, when he becomes freed from all karma, why he doesn't drop his body immediately and go back to Godhead. Because sometimes they wonder, if you are so pure, what are you doing in this body which is filled with impurities? Because everybody's body is filled with impurities. You cannot avoid it. So his explanation was the explanation of the Vaishnava, which is the explanation of Krishna. That Krishna does not want that as soon as one becomes liberated, he drops the body and goes back to Godhead, because then who will preach? If there are no liberated souls preaching Krishna consciousness, then how anybody else is going to go back home, back to Godhead? Therefore, for the sake of the world, this Krishna consciousness is given by those who, although in a factually liberated position, maintain activities within this material world for the sake of all of the conditioned souls. Therefore, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakura, although fully liberated soul, engaged in preaching activity, but he prayed for some representative of the Lord to help him. Once, one devotee in Los Angeles asked Srila Prabhupada in his room that why Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakura did not make a very big movement of Krishna consciousness. Srila Prabhupada replied, Srila Bhaktivinoda could have saved the whole universe with his potency if he so desired, but he left some work for us. He also said, Srila Bhaktivinoda, that in the future, a very powerful personality would appear to spread Krishna consciousness all over the world. He predicted that. He thus predicted Srila Prabhupada's appearance. Srila Prabhupada thus was directly part of Krishna's plan, as it was revealed by Srila Bhaktivinoda. Srila Bhaktivinoda's writing formed the basis of the expansion of Krishna consciousness that Srila Prabhupada took up. Even great scholars in the West, great by material estimation, not great by our estimation, but they are recognizing how Srila Prabhupada perfectly embodied the mission of Srila Bhaktivinoda. This was done through the agency of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada's spiritual master, who brought that mission he imbibed from Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur and his spiritual master Gorakishore Das Babaji, and gave to Srila Prabhupada in great potency. Srila Prabhupada thus took that mission as the representative of the parampara, the total embodiment of the energy of the entire parampara of Krishna, and went through the the very demoniac Western world and delivered Krishna consciousness in the English language. Specifically, he was requested to preach in English language. So, we owe a great debt to Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, who was our, depending on who you are, spiritual great-great-grandfather, the one who is bringing. So in many, many ways, we owe a great debt, of course. I am not using the proper words. They do not expand the concept in the proper fashion. If I expanded each concept in 1,000 ways with adjectives, it would not do justice to the great debt that we owe Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. This is his Pushpa Samadhi. At the time when Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur passed away, he was in Jagannath Puri. He spent his last days in Jagannath Puri. Last 4.5 years of his life was spent there. He did not retire immediately. He wanted to keep on working. He recommended Kshetra Sannyas, as we explained in Bhagavatam class. And he went to Jagannath Puri to exemplify that Kshetra Sannyas. So, when he passed away, they brought him here. And actually, they cremated the body. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati was not there at the time. But when he heard that such a thing was even being contemplated, he ran like anything to come here. But he came too late. It was already done. So he took flowers from the flower garland of the last day and established here in this temple the Pushpa Samadhi of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, which is also fitting. We have the Pushpa Samadhi of Srila Prabhupada as well. It is non-different from the Vapu Samadhi. And this temple has been visited by us for quite some time. It is a favorite place of the devotees. So, generally we spend some moments praying for the mercy of Srila Bhaktivinoda, especially those who are engaged in the book production, book distribution mission, which Srila Prabhupada wanted expanded like anything throughout the whole world. We take shelter here. Ask Srila Bhaktivinoda, for he was upstairs writing all the time. He upstairs in his room, although it is not perfectly kept up. They, of course, in the past only let about 6 or 7 of us go up. I don't know the policy this year. Anyway, it is dark. His bed is there, chair is still there, kerosene lamp and kerosene fan are still there, where Srila Bhaktivinoda used to write all the time. Very historical place, his house. So, we consider this very important. So we should just beg for Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur's mercy, so that we may be able to imbibe his instruction as it has been given to us through Srila Prabhupada, as we have received it from our spiritual master. And we can thus become very spiritually qualified. Go back home, back to Godhead, and taste the nectar of spiritual life. Srila